Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I am a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on June 17th, 2022 at approximately 1:41 p.m. PST. It really is time we get this world turned around. Now, do understand, society right now is on a massively dangerous downhill slide. Okay, people talk about world unity, and yet the majority of people seem to be focusing more on what makes you different than what makes you the same or what makes you similar. Okay, couple of things to get straight. In order to have unity, you've got to start focusing on the similarities, on the things that we have in common. Like, let's start with the obvious one. You've been taught, as was I just seem to have failed it for the most part. You've been taught that stuff is what tells you whether you're successful. Okay, and that the more stuff you have, the more successful you are. Well, here's a kicker for you. Okay, collect all the stuff you want. Believe you can take it with you into the afterlife. And then look at what happened 3,000 years ago. They believed the same thing. 3,000 to 5,000 years ago. Okay, they built great big tombs and mausoleums and put all their stuff in it, so they had it when they got to the other side. You notice it's all still here, and they're gone. You've got the same situation happening. Okay, stuff, it may make your life a little easier in some cases. It may make it more comfortable. Lord knows, I prefer having a roof over my head as compared to not. Now, I speak from borderline experience. I spent my entire life, up until I was 56, living one paycheck away from living on the street. Okay, there were a few periods that were brighter than that. But the reality is, I didn't like that feeling. And there's a lot of people that are out there that are living on the street. No, contrary to popular belief, at least I don't believe it's the case. These people are not, most of them are not out there because they desire to be on the street. A sadly exorbitant number of them are out there because they've ended up on drugs, on heavy alcohol, and couldn't afford to keep a roof over their head. Okay, now, there's a lot of illnesses out there that are being totally overlooked. But the big problem we have right now is the majority of people are finding new and exciting ways to emphasize differences. Now, I've tried to stay out of it. I really have. Okay, and what I'm finding is it's getting to be annoying, even with my ability to separate things, or my former ability anyway. That seems to have gone the way of the dodo bird, which means I'm now being affected by the stresses that the planet is going through and that you're going through. Now, I spent the massive majority of my life living on the edge of homelessness. Okay, but I was able to block out pretty much all the stresses, so it didn't get to me. In 2018, I had a pretty severe stroke because everything bottled up. Well, just about 2 weeks ago now, I had a similar event. Okay, didn't quite have a stroke, but I'll tell you, it came awful close. And I came to the conclusion I can no longer sit idly by. So like I said, in order to get your life turned around, now I had to do it the hard way. I'm hoping by putting this information out there that you can find a way to get your life in balance before it gets to that point. Now, newsflash. Alcohol does not make it easier to cope. Alcohol itself simply knocks out your trained and learned inhibitors, meaning your ability to cope gets compromised. Drugs, they put your mind elsewhere so you can't even see what's going on. And yes, I used to use drugs a lot. I used to use marijuana. I used to use cocaine. Okay. And let's face it, the amount of alcohol I went through was insane. But I know from first-hand experience it didn't do a thing to help. Okay. What does help is when you realize that right here, this is where you have to get that feeling that it's time for you to change your life. If you're not content with the way your life is, this is the time to change it. Okay, and that starts here. Well, technically it starts up in the etheric level, is drawn down most of the time it'll hit your brain first. But here's the thing. Even when it gets to your brain, until it gets that heartfelt imperative, you're not likely to change much. Now, I came back to this world for one reason, okay, and that is to remind everyone in existence that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. I'm not here to prove anything. Okay, some of you will come up with this idea, well, why should we believe what you're saying? Don't believe what you're saying. Are you content with the way your life is running? Okay, I'm not currently content with mine. Okay, it just took me, I was trying to get backups for the books I'm writing. I was trying to set them up on a zip drive. Well, problem, 4 days to get them transferred. I'm hoping I've got it there now, but I'm not exactly holding my breath. Okay, so once you get that imperative here that things have to change, where do you start? Well, that's the easy part. You start right where you're sitting. Take a look at where your life is. Take a look at the physical location of where you are and ask yourself, are you content with that aspect of your life? If you see one thing that is out of alignment, okay, that's the thing you start changing. Now, I've talked about Feng Shui as they lay it out where it comes to Eastern society. And Feng Shui, energy guidance, okay, is a viable thing. But the problem with Western society as compared to Eastern, most of the information written, okay, tells you put it in the north corner, the west corner, whatever. That's a great idea. And in Eastern philosophy, from my understanding, the entire culture is built on it. Western society is not, but the principle still holds. Okay, the more streamlined the energy around you is, the more relaxed you'll be. And in all fairness, if you think of the idea that the state of your primary living or workspace is a reflection of your mind, it seems to stand to reason, at least from my standpoint, that the state of your mind is also a reflection of the physical world. Okay, both are mirror images. Now, with this in mind, it's easier to change the physical world as compared to change your mindset. But you change the physical world, it'll alter your mindset. One of the key factors for dealing with depression. Okay, and I'm a firm believer that medication on the whole is a bad idea. But do understand, modern medicine can do wonders, and if you're on some sort of medication, under a doctor's guidance, stay on it until you get your head straightened around. And what I mean by that is, as you're working on, get the counseling you need, talk to the people that are supporting you as much as you can. Okay. Understand, medication is great, and the advantage of the kind of modern medication that you have right now is it is a much more potent, direct solution. When we take a look at the naturopathic methods, which quite frankly, I'm much more inclined to look at this point in my life, or more to the point, I'm more inclined to look at the energetic side. But the modern scientific methods that have the different medications, I will not complain about the pharmaceutical companies, and here's why. Pharmaceutical companies go, here's the thing that this medication will do to help you, and here's this massive stack of things it'll do to hurt you. Please buy my stuff. Now, the fact that it actually does help in many cases with that little thing, you've got to be the one to decide whether the trade-offs are good or not. Now, the only thing I will say about the trade-offs is double check with the doctor, or better yet, in my opinion, double check with the pharmacist to see if the medication you're being prescribed has some sort of a counteractive or a interactive reaction with other medication you're prescribed. However, let the doctors decide whether or not it's actually having the desired effect. Okay. Let them figure out where the balances are. They're the ones with the training. Okay. Now, I will tell you, that as you get your head straightened around, the medications will start showing up, and as far as I understand it, they'll start showing up as an overload in the medication in your blood work. The reason for that is because as your brain gets turned around, it won't require as much help. Therefore, it will just discard the excess. Okay, but you take a look at where your life is. In my case, I finally got an idea of where I'm heading. Okay, and I'll tell you, with me, technology is a royal pain. Okay, it really is. But it does enable me to do a few other things. Now, it was great. I was talking to one person today, and they suggested, quite correctly so, and I should have thought about it before. Okay, and that is, they suggested I take the books that are already written, that I've got already on disc, and get them printed out in hard copy. That way, I will have a hard copy print of it. Okay, so I've got 40 years of writing that I've got to get sorted around. Okay, but if I start printing off the files I'm not going to be working on for a while, I'll at least have them written. And then I can get them sorted around, which is a great idea. And I was told about it, it was brought to my attention. I'm like, I should have thought about that before. But as it stands, I'm working on a whole lot of different things. One of the biggest things is this. Society has to change direction. It's going down the same path it went down, 1800 years ago, when the Roman Empire decided it was going to implode. Because people were doing the same thing then that they're doing now. Okay, building you up, telling you fear everything around you. Okay, fear the whole 9 yards. This doesn't work well. The time is now to change things. And this is why I'm working very hard, and there it is. Working very hard on this. Okay, that's my hard copy. That way up. That's my hard copy of The Return to Paradise, the next book I'm working on the Yldrbac Chronicles. I'm working very hard to get it all onto soft copy and turned around, and completed. But this is one of those big goals I've got to work on. You've got to take a look at your life and go, are you content with your world? Now, I will tell you, there's a lot of things that you may have had goals for that you had to put on hold because life got in the way. Here's the thing. You may not be able to accomplish them by the time you're aiming at. You may run into that problem. Okay. And Lord knows, I've taken a look at it and gone, I had goals, I had ideas that I desired to get accomplished, but if I don't get off my tail feathers, I'm not going to get my projects on the go. I'm not going to get them to print on time. I am still capable of getting the Return to Paradise out by the end of this year, early next year, depending on how long it takes them to print it. But I really have to start looking into different ideas of marketing. With that in mind, considering I've already told you that working together, we can make this a better world. Now, I've got my goal, okay, which is to get the Yldrbac Chronicles in print. However, marketing is not my strong suit. Therefore, okay, because I am working on a very limited budget, okay, which is an issue right off the bat. Now, I've already hired 2 marketing consultants that both claim to be able to do something and prove to be totally useless. Okay, therefore, am I inclined to spend a whole pile of money on marketing information or on a company that says, oh, I can market? The answer is no. Okay, however, if you've got ideas as to what may work well, with the Yldrbac Chronicles, they are science fiction, science fantasy. Okay, I will be posting later today. Sometime either today or this evening, depending on when I get things organized for it. I will be starting to put out information again, much more emphatically regarding regarding the first book, this one here, which is The Birth of the Wolfpack. Okay, I will be putting a synopsis out. Now, the neat little thing about this particular story, this is science fiction, science fantasy. Okay, if you've got ideas as to how I can drive sales up, because ultimately what I desire to do with this is take the books that I've got and actually turn them into a viable option as far as income goes. Okay, am I asking for your input? Absolutely. And if you've got ideas, even if they may seem a little weird, I'd love to hear about them in the comments below this video. Or if you look below the video, you'll find a whole pile of different ways of getting a hold of me. Drop me a private line. Okay, and ask. Or give me a suggestion. I'm asking for your help in this respect. Okay, now, the odd part about this whole situation for me is really what boils down to, how do I get visibility out when marketing has never been my strong suit? And I'm still a firm believer that the money, even no matter what business you're in, money has to be the side effect, not the goal. The goal for me is to get these books printed, to get them available to the public as a priority, to get that story told. I'll tell you, I nearly had a stroke yesterday when I thought I had lost 14 years of writing. Okay, now with that in mind, I'm now taking precautions and actively going after it. But if you've got ideas, I'd love to hear about them. Okay, now like I said, Birth of the Wolfpack is science fiction, science fantasy. Okay, then we've got this neat little one, that's the backbone of how I turned my life. Okay, again, every book that I've written is available through me. I do use PayPal as far as payment goes, or if you're in Canada, direct deposit. Okay, now the prices listed with the books that are listed below this video, those prices include shipping in Canada and the continental US. Now, I'm going to leave this until tomorrow, but I will be back again tomorrow, and as soon as I figure out exactly what I'm dealing with. Matter of fact, let me just see here. I think this one here. Yeah. Okay, I dealt with healing last week. I was asked at one point, tomorrow what I'm thinking of doing, and I will be certain to post it more readily. With that in mind, keep an eye open. I am going to post what I'll be talking about tomorrow as a starting point when I go live on YouTube from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. PST. Okay. Until then, take care of yourselves and each other, and for pity's sakes, stay positive.